Live from London, it's Plank of the Week with Mike Graham.
What do you mean with Mike Graham? This is Kevin O'Sullivan here. Mike is off this week. He'll be back next week. But welcome to another sparkling edition of Plank of the Week. With me this week are, of course, TalkTV's international editor Isabel, Oakeshott, political commentator Ben, Loughnane, and, of course, Times money mentor Georgie Frost, and the one and only, what are you? Russell Quirk. That's it. Now, you know the game. This is what you're playing for. I like that noise. Basically, we choose the worst planks of the week, and at the end, we decide who the winner is. Are they the winner or are they the loser? I'm the loser. Let's go straight into the show, and you're first up, Isabel. Who would you like to nominate?
I'm just wondering whether times have changed since you've been in this hot seat, because it's not we that chooses the winner, it is actually you.
But no,
I'm more democratic.
It used to be democratic, Isabel. It used to be democratic.
Yeah. Anyway,
and Mike just decided he was going to become a dictator.
And by the way, you've got the winner, haven't you? I've seen who you've chosen.
Obviously, I'm going to win this because my nomination is for Jeremy Corbyn.
You win, everybody else go.
That's it. We can all go now. So Jeremy Corbyn is, of course, the politician who famously described Hamas as his friends. Now, later on, under a lot of pressure over why he described these terrorists as friends, he offered some context, which is always important when you've made a massive, lifelong political blunder. The context was something about why they should be allowed into the House of Commons or something equally asinine. As of this week, he's not that repentant because he still seems to be unable to bring himself to condemn Hamas. He can't call them what they are, a bit like the BBC also struggling. I'm sure we'll move on to that at some point. But this is a guy who is completely incapable of condemning things that, I mean, it's just impossible to see how anyone could come to the defence of this. But what he said is something sort of mealy-mouthed about how he condemns all attacks on innocents or something like that.
Yes.
And Keir Starmer must be so glad that he managed to keep this guy right on the outer fringes of the party conference. It was a miracle that no other Labour muppet, who they have a long history in that party of being sympathetic to the wrong types of people, they managed to keep their gobs shut, but we can rely on Jeremy Corbyn to show the true colours.
Yeah, he said all attacks are wrong.
Brilliant. That's such incision there.
Well, I'll tell you an attack that's not wrong. That's Israel retaliating and attacking the Gaza Strip, attacking Hamas. That's not wrong. So he's even incorrect in what he said. This is a guy who in 50 years has never changed his mind once about anything. He was the leader of Her Majesty's opposition. What was his foreign policy? We love Palestine, we hate Israel. That was it.
But also, the man that Keir Starmer tried to install as Prime Minister.
I mean make
seriously?
No mistake, he would have been an absolute danger to this country and to national security. And it is a great relief that he is so completely discredited.
Georgie, I think Starmer's gone some way down the line. He threw Corbyn out of the Parliamentary Labour Party because Corbyn said that attacks on the anti-Semites in the Labour Party, that anti-Semitism wasn't really a problem, it was just exaggerated for political effect. Starmer said you've got to apologise for that. He refused, therefore he was thrown out of the Parliamentary Labour Party, but he's still a member of the Labour Party. I think this is the time for Starmer to go the whole hog and kick him out of the whole party. Would you agree?
I think Ben is probably far more qualified as a political commentator to talk about this than I, but I certainly think that to borrow the quote, I think it was of Douglas Murray, that this situation now is like a flare. It shows where everybody's standing, and I think that is really key to this. We are now finding, and it's not just Jeremy Corbyn who's refusing to condemn this, this is across left-wing media, all sorts of people saying this, and you cannot justify the brutality that we've been seeing.
Some people may argue that Corbyn is too irrelevant to actually qualify for Plank of the Week, but I would say he's not too irrelevant to qualify for Plank of the Week because he symbolises so much of what is still wrong with so many parts A, of his party or his former party, and B, of so many elements, even within London today and more broadly across Britain. He is responsible for allowing the propagation of some of these attitudes that have resulted in appalling scenes on our streets in central London, the taunting of Jewish communities. That is on him because of the attitudes that he has in some way sought to legitimise.
No, I think that's right.
I think if Keir Starmer takes more action against Jeremy Corbyn, do you not legitimise what he's saying? Push him to the sides. Actually, this shows how far they've come, I think, in the last few years from those days of Jeremy Corbyn. I agree with everything you say, but I just think by even highlighting what he's saying, that is not what Labour want to do. We might have an election coming up next year. What they want to do is just pull ranks,
I agree with that.
get rid of the fringe elements and just focus on what they're doing.
Absolutely. But Keir Starmer, therefore, needs to go further. So, you know, Isabel's right. The remnants of the Corbyn era allowed certain people that were absolute kind of Corbyn enthusiasts to come in and be elected as members of Parliament. Not least the Labour MP, and I forget her name, forgive me, but that was actually pictured at an event at the Labour Party Fringe Conference 4 or 5 hours after this whole Israel-Gaza thing kicked off. And she was stood there with the kind of Palestine flag behind her, making a speech, making enthusiastic undertones about the fact that, you know, Israel were wrong, Palestine are right, it doesn't really matter if people die, and so on. And that's kind of a remnant of what Corbyn is responsible for,
well,
I think.
David Lammy, the Shadow Foreign Secretary, attended a meeting, Friends of Palestine, this week. Thought that was a wrong move. Now, Ben, it's your first time on the show. You are allowed to talk. Your take on it. Don't you think, I bet you don't think that Keir Starmer should just kick Jeremy Corbyn out of the Labour Party. I bet you think he should just kick him.
Maybe, yeah. There's two arguments here. There's starve Jeremy Corbyn of oxygen, get him out of the party, effectively say, you know, go away, your era's over. But then you have to deal with the Corbynites, the people who follow him. They're still there. They're still members of the Labour Party. And the same thing could happen again that happened when Corbyn was the leader and very, very nearly became the Prime Minister of this country. So you can't just, like, you know, behead Jeremy Corbyn and get rid of the movement. You have to actually deal with the entire group of people within the party who still embody his values.
Now, this sort of feeds into your choice for your nomination for your first plank. It's the Met Police. Explain why.
Yes, so there was the Israeli restaurant, I think in Golders Green, which had the sort of windows smashed sort of a few hours after the attacks over in Israel. And on a bridge about 200 yards down, there's a big Free Palestine sort of spray painted across it at the same time. The Met Police turned around and said, we're not investigating this as a hate crime incident. Well, then what is a hate crime? Like things people post on Twitter, slightly offensive football chants. Those are hate crimes. But this, they're saying, isn't.
But that's because they don't want to investigate crimes. They're after non-crimes, basically. That's what they do. So if you take a photograph of it, then you might be in trouble.
No, non-crime hate incidents, that's what they call them.
Exactly.
The police write down non-crime hate incidents. Why are you writing it? It's not a crime. It's none of your business, coppers.
And they seem to come to that conclusion, didn't they, within kind of minutes of it happening? You know, there certainly wasn't a thorough investigation.
Well, the speed of it.
I'll tell you why they came to that conclusion, because the till was nicked. Now, my view is that was opportunistic. It was just below a bridge, not far from where I live, actually, where it's seconds after the Hamas attack, someone managed to write Free Palestine all the way across this bridge. And under the shadow of that bridge, this attack happened on this Jewish restaurant. I suspect that these were militants backing up Hamas, but they're also little crooks. So
they're thieves. They're not mutually exclusive, right? They can actually be terrorist sympathisers and thieves.
It's almost certain.
Yes.
But I'm almost certain that they also don't have a clue what they're talking about.
I mean, that's for damn sure.
It's an instinctive thing, isn't it? Yeah. Just go for the other side, just to be a pain.
Yeah, exactly. Shall we move on to your first choice, Georgie? Who would you like to nominate for Plank of the Week?
Yeah. That's a great question. Who do I want to go first?
Yaz Ashmawi.
That's it, Yaz Ashmawi. Yes, I want to pick Yaz Ashmawi, who you might or might not remember as sprinkling glitter over Keir Starmer.
I don't remember that.
The 28-year-old from Surrey. Nothing wrong with being 28 and from Surrey. I'm not 28, but I've been from Surrey. Anyway, look, we've had too many incidents of politicians, sadly, losing their lives or being attacked. So, you know, absolutely don't. That shouldn't happen. So, also in amongst that plankery is the security at the Labour conference.
Yeah.
Because you should not be manhandling the man who could be the next Prime Minister. You shouldn't be manhandling anyone on stage. So be that as it may.
Yeah, there's plenty of time to do that after he's become Prime Minister.
Who is that guy? I mean, he's
I'll
supposed
tell you something about him. I'll tell you something about him. His second family home is in Devon, £750,000. He went to a private school in the Middle East. Why am I not surprised? Let's see him in action. How did he handle this heckler? He went, "Thank you, conference. Thank you.
But people
conference, thank you.
People are saying
thank
he handled
you,
it so
that's
well.
all he managed to come out with.
People are saying he handled it so well, it looks like it was almost staged.
Yeah.
Well, which leads me on to my next part of this plankery, which was the Labour Party, or whoever's designing their T-shirts, have put Sparkle with Starmer on a limited edition £20 T-shirt.
They didn't hang about.
Unisex, by the way, obviously. Oh, my God, please. But no, this guy, as you said, 24,000 a year or whatever, Dubai school, private school, apparently travelled to 13 countries. He's part of Extinction Rebellion, chief strategist, apparently. Yeah. But even they've distanced themselves from him, which I just think is extraordinary. Yeah. He's standing with something called People Demand Democracy.
Yeah, well, that's when I knew he was Just Stop Oil or Extinction Rebellion, because what their sole political idea is the country should be run by committees of the people.
People like them is
really Oh, that's pretty terrifying.
I mean, I think you've missed a key plank of his plankery, if I may, because he didn't actually properly advertise any kind of cause. So this is a guy that had wall-to-wall free publicity for all the wrong reasons. But if he'd actually worn a T-shirt, which he could have had hidden under whatever it was, he might actually have drawn some positive publicity from some nutters
with glitter
to the cause he was fighting for.
No one knows what he's.
By the way, glitter is extremely environmentally unfriendly.
It is.
So you used the wrong material.
I can tell you.
Let's talk a little bit about the conference generally, which you've encompassed into your nomination, Georgie, very wisely. Did you notice that the shadow Chancellor of the Exchequer, Rachel Reeves, during her dreary speech, never once mentioned the word inflation? That's because the Tories are doing quite well on inflation. And in the wannabe Prime Minister Keir Starmer's speech, droned on for an hour, never once mentioned the migrant crisis. Extraordinary.
Yeah. Because they want more migrants, not less.
Yes, they do.
Sell very well on the doorstep, does it?
But also, they offer no other solutions. They've got no policies to do anything different to what the Conservatives are currently doing. Yeah. The government are doing exactly what Labour will continue to do. There's no difference between the two.
We will build houses, not on the green belt.
Wow.
Not on the brown belt, but the grey belt. What on earth is he talking about? You were explaining this to me earlier, Russell. So do it again.
I was. This is the rubbish bits of the green belt, as designated by Keir Starmer. I don't know if he's kind of done a tour of Britain and kind of put little stickers on bits of the green belt across the UK. But yes, taking the hideous bits, the bits that are not so green, turning them grey and then building on them, which actually, in principle, it's not a bad shout.
It's kind of fitting for him to be talking about the grey belt, though, isn't it?
Yeah, grey man, grey belt.
He is a grey man with a grey belt.
Yeah, thank you, conference. Conference, thank you. Thank you. That's all he could manage. Let's move on from that shambles, although I'm told it was a triumph. Do you know why it was a triumph? You can always tell a party that's doing well. They were quite disciplined and they didn't say a damn thing all week. If you say things in politics, you get in trouble, particularly if you're Keir Starmer. What's your first nomination, Russell?
Well, that said, and more Labour Party conference, I'm afraid. So my plank is Angela Rayner. She was being interviewed by Channel 4 and in the middle of the interview on camera took a call from her mother, which I know sounds like a lovely thing to do. Maybe that was staged, maybe that was contrived to make her look a bit more warm and cuddly.
That's great.
But that isn't why I think she's a plank. Not that she interrupted the interview live on air and decided to take the call, was the fact that she dismissed her mother in very kind of rude terms, in my opinion, but then also proceeded to tell the world how her mother never rings her. And I was left, therefore, with the question, what is it about Angela Rayner that is so bad that her mother never rings her?
Well, even her mum doesn't like her.
Exactly.
I think we can see this incident in action. Take it away, Angela Rayner and Angela Rayner's mum.
And there you were again.
Mum, I'm in the middle. I'm in the middle of a media round, and I said my mum never rings me. Something must be really up with her. Right, I'll give you a ring back when I finish the media round. All right.
You're all right. I was just congratulating you. Well.
Thank you. All right, I'll speak to you in about 20 minutes. I'm on the media now. Thanks. Bye.
She on speakerphone.
Exactly. Why was it on speaker, Russell?
Sorry, well, exactly, mate, because again, it was staged to make her look, softer and cuddly than she really is.
No, it wasn't.
But sorry, then she also goes on to throw her mother even further under the bus by saying it's a bit early in the morning for my mother. She never actually gets up this early. I think it was about 10 o'clock. I mean, talk about dissing your mother live in front of the population of Britain.
Got lovely publicity out of that. I'm sorry. I'm not voting for Angela Rayner for Plank of the Week.
Well, thank goodness it's not a democracy and it's still a dictatorship.
I think she brings some colour and life to dreary old politics and grey belt Keir. No one is going to call our Ange grey, are they?
No, exactly. I don't want to preempt my decision, but I don't know what you thought, Georgie, but I thought it was a very nice little moment.
Really? What's wrong with all of you? Yeah, seriously.
You're a girl. Girls love their mums, don't they?
No, boys love their mums.
Oh, no,
we know
okay.
that. No,
Oh,
I
that's
cut
true.
my teeth as a rookie reporter, though, on interviewing Roy Keane as a sports reporter. And I keep just thinking, every time a phone rang in the press conference, I keep thinking of Roy's face.
Yeah.
The look of death.
You don't want the look of death
No
from
one
Roy Keane.
in the media would take, unless there's something that you're waiting, a phone call you're waiting for, why would you take your phone? And then why would you leave it on loudspeaker? Mum could have, God knows what my mum would have said. Wouldn't have been to congratulate me for doing well, that's for sure.
So let's be clear, the studios come out in support of Angela Rayner.
I think it was a total stunt. Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah, completely. Because,
Cynic.
firstly, having the call on, having your phone.
A total stunt. Angela Rayner, a total stunt. Right, let's go to break. Welcome back to Plank of the Week. This is part 2. I'm still with my powerhouse panel, but they can shut up now because it's my turn. My nomination for Plank of the Week, well, it's a sort of dual act, but they're like Ant and Dec. They come in the same breath. Harry and Meghan. Every time they go to New York, something happens. Do you remember a few months back, they went to New York and said, oh, my God, we got chased by the paparazzi. High-speed chase through the streets of Manhattan, thousands of them. Turned out it was about one car and they were going about 1 mile an hour. The mayor of New York stood up and said, well, there might have been a chase, but no one...
It wasn't a near catastrophe.
Yeah, near catastrophe, that's right. And the mayor said no one has gone at high speed in Manhattan for about 100 years. So that was rubbish. So they've gone back to Manhattan and with a sort of dreary inevitability, they behaved preposterously again. They were attending a world mental health event. Big up to them for that. Why not? Presumably they flew over from California. That wouldn't have been very good for the environment, would it? They're great greenies, those two. Anyway, they check into where they were staying and they had to get to the venue of the event. It was 200 yards away. How did they travel that 200 yards, that brief distance? They got into a 7-car convoy. 7 cars to do 200 yards, and these people say they're interested in saving the planet. Harry, hypocrisy incarnate. Meghan, just another disaster for her. Unbelievable.
They need all those cars to fit their egos in.
Yeah.
They? I mean, they carry a lot of baggage and it needs to go in there.
Yeah, exactly. What do you reckon of that, Ben?
Well, I think, 7 cars.
I'm going to win, aren't I?
7 cars is about 200
Well, I
cars.
make the decision, so I will win.
Right. Just go from one
they just
to another.
slightly moved,
No, just give me a pen, give me the Plank of the Week. Can we just write Harry and Meghan on the back of that and just give it as a given that every week they get
winners
an honorary mention, so we don't have to mention them anymore? Can we do that?
I think there's quite a few that go on
They
it.
are making a rock for their own back.
and we'll write it
making
on
a
the
plank
back
for
of
their
it.
own back.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's just preposterous behaviour. And those people, those two in particular, classic examples of rich, privileged hypocrites who, in terms of the environment, saving the planet, it's do what we say, not what we do. You lot, you can stay on the ground. Don't get in aeroplanes, don't drive cars. Us, 7 cars to do 200
But you
yards,
say that, Kev.
please.
It's funny how the celebrity elite rather pick and choose what they decide to commentate on, though, isn't it? So have we heard much from the likes of Emma Thompson and Gary Lineker and co around Israel? And
No,
Gaza?
no, of course not.
I don't think we need
Not
to.
a peep.
No.
Well, no, but they're normally so
Yeah.
vociferous and
But
so
on Meghan
enthusiastic
and
to
Harry,
comment on them.
I mean, it's also just so stupid. It plays into Harry's basic stupidity
Dim.
because just how much better publicity they would get if they just, I don't know, put
Walked.
trainers on
Yeah.
and walked and looked semi-normal.
Yeah, they're very badly advised. I totally agree. A really bad look. Still with royal matters, I almost nominated The Crown, that dreadful
Oh, for the
series
Ghost
on
of
Netflix.
Diana.
It's just so great. I really love watching The Crown. It's absolute crap. And this new series, you won't believe it. I mean, you know that phrase, jump the shark, when programmes
Yeah.
just get ridiculous.
Yeah.
Well, this last series features...
We'd never do that, would we?
No, not this programme never jumps the shark. Oh, look, there's a shark there. Just jumped over it. No, seriously, this features the ghost of Diana
Right.
coming back to
Oh,
talk
my
to
word.
first King Charles or Prince Charles. Yeah, he would have been Prince Charles then. And then to the Queen, Imelda Staunton. So it's the ghost of Diana.
Is it well done?
Yeah, but so the ghost of Diana says to the Queen, runs through what she wants her funeral to look like.
That's almost as ridiculous as you remember in Dallas when they brought Bobby Ewing back in the shower, who
so
hasn't
this
really
is a
been
Twin
dead at all.
Peaks
It's
moment
a
or
similar thing,
something.
isn't it?
Yeah,
How
yeah.
ridiculous.
Well, exactly. I mean, this is a drama. I mean, it's sorely overrated from day one, if you ask
I like
me.
the first series, but then it kind of petered out a bit, I thought.
Do you get a prize if you've never watched it?
Yeah, I've never watched it.
Same.
Can I win?
I've watched
there we
Oh,
go.
no wonder that conversation was a bit...
On your own as well.
Right, let's move on. Isabel, you are next with your second nomination.
I am nominating the great... Oh, how do we even begin to describe the ugliness that is Luton Airport? Now, Luton gets nominated because its entire car park in... is it Terminal 2 that the car park all blew up in flames? I'm thinking that this is just symbolic of basically Luton Airport, isn't it? And everybody's experience of going to Luton Airport. And fortunately, nobody was hurt. There's some murkiness over exactly how this fire started. So it's now being claimed that this was a spontaneous kind of combustion of a diesel car.
Diesel, though. Have you noticed that?
Anyone has
Non-electric.
ever known
Diesel.
that ever
They've
happened
made really
before?
clear.
It's the greenies.
Yeah.
It was a diesel
Definitely
car.
diesel,
They're
definitely
bad for the
diesel.
environment and they're bad for car parks. And there was there 1,500 cars in there. or something?
Unfortunately,
carry
Except the
1,800.
diesel doesn't spontaneously combust.
It's just, I just,
Batteries do.
Well, also viewers of a certain age and presenters of a certain age, like me, will remember this advert that made Luton Airport famous.
It's very odd. I don't even know your name, but after this one Campari and soda, I feel I almost know you. May I freshen your glass? Soda, of course.
No, lemonade.
Campari and lemonade.
Yes, nice colour, isn't it?
Campari, with soda, with lemonade, with tonic, but always with pleasure.
Were you truly wafted here from paradise?
No, Luton Airport.
That's when adverts used to be good. Yeah, really good adverts.
I think it needs a new name. I think just the name Luton. It just
Campari Airport.
Yeah,
That's better,
What
that's
could a
better.
new name for
Well, no, we
Luton
need to call it
Airport be?
North London
Yes,
Airport.
absolutely. That's
Luton hole. There's another one. You can bleep that out as well. Let's do the next nomination, and it's you, Ben. Who have you got?
We've got this time. I've forgotten.
Smoking.
Smoking. Yeah, Rishi Sunak.
Let me help you
Yeah.
there.
So you're...
Want me to do the whole thing?
You know, this is your first appearance.
So what Ben wanted to say was, right, but smoking ban to create a smoke-free generation.
So I've got Rishi Sunak for trying to ban smoking, but he's gone about it in the weirdest way possible. So he's gone, we're going to ban people from ever smoking as long as they were born on 1st of January 2009. So that means in about 50 years or so, there'll be 2 old geezers at the shop and one of them would be 64, and one of them would be 65, and we'd be going, oh, mate, could you go and buy me some cigs?
Do you want to buy some Marlboros?
Yeah, completely
I can do them at a knockdown price. Of course, it's divisive.
Yeah.
It's wrong. It's hideously illiberal. It is not small government, which the Tories are supposed to stand for. It is Rishi Sunak profoundly misunderstanding conservatism, sticking his nose into every aspect of our lives. Now, smoking should be discouraged. It's bad for you. Don't do it, kids. Don't do it, grown-ups. But the idea that if you were born before 2008, you can't smoke, and if you were born after, you can. No, it's the other way around. Well, hang on, let's think about
It's a real
that.
head spinner.
It doesn't make sense.
If you were born before 2008, you can smoke. If you're born after, you can't.
Yeah.
That's divisive, ludicrous, illiberal. Smoking is a legal activity, and adults should have the right to decide whether or not they want to do it.
Absolutely.
Not to be forced into a decision by an illiberal Prime Minister.
It's a very oddly indecisive thing. You know, you either ban it or you don't ban it. And actually, do you remember when the Labour Party introduced the smoking ban in pubs?
Yeah.
The Conservative Party went apoplectic.
Yeah.
They said this is an assault on liberal rights and freedoms and so on. Yet the
I
Conservative
still agree with
Party...
that.
Yeah, no, I do. But the Conservative Party now, because, of course, they're not Conservatives at all, banning smoking. It's straight out the playbook of Tony Blair and Gordon Brown.
Well, I'll tell you whose playbook it is out of, Georgie. It's the dreadful New Zealand dragon, the Queen of the Kiwi, Jacinda Ardern. First rule of politics, don't copy Jacinda Ardern.
Yes. Well, I've just got back from LA, or Orange County, where actually smoking is banned in that whole area that I was, Laguna Beach. I actually met someone from New Zealand, as by the by, she was not a fan of Jacinda either.
And that's Democrat-controlled.
But look, I mean, we all remember what it's like going into pubs and coming back at late at night and all your clothes stank and your hair stank, right? Smoking is bad for you. I don't miss those days either.
But it should be our choice to stink.
Where are you going to stop? Like, where do we stop? Is it what we put in our mouths? Is it or everything like
but
food?
Georgie, the Labour Party do that too.
Sugary drinks, fatty food.
Yes.
This lot
it's
wants to control.
busybody nanny state Britain.
Sadiq Khan is part of a cabal of mayors that wants to ban meat eventually.
I think, Isabel, this is yet another terrible throwback to the COVID crisis, where the government assumed this new role, which it is now obsessed with, doctor to the nation, that its priority is the health of its citizens. It isn't. The health of its citizens is its citizens' business. It is my business whether or not I want to eat fatty food or drink
100%.
sugary drinks. I don't actually want to do either of those things, but I'm going to do them just to piss Rishi Sunak off. What do you think?
No, the reason I'm a bit quiet is because I'm a libertarian, so I don't really like banning anything.
I am too, you might have
I
noticed.
don't like banning anything, but I'm going to make a rare exception for cigarettes. Sorry, I completely disagree with you. I think this is an unusually radical, bold and brilliant policy, but not the whole
not
thing.
Illiberal, though. Illiberal. It's very illiberal.
It is a liberal.
It is, but the problem is
a
exactly
rare
that. What
case
is
of-
next? What is next? Cakes,
Alcohol.
fizzy drinks, alcohol. Yeah.
What do you think, Ben?
Well, first they came for the smokers, and then they'll come for you eventually for things that you like to do. It's one thing to
already
say.
done that
It's one thing to say
multiple
I'm a libertarian, but I'll make an exception for this because I don't like it. Well, then you're not a libertarian.
It isn't about whether I like it or not. It
Yeah.
is about the impact on the NHS, which is in such a dire state anyway.
There's more of an
And the
impact from
impact-
obesity
and the
than
impact
smoking.
on the impact on children.
And in fact,
the smoking over
smokers
children.
contribute more to the NHS through indirect taxes for the huge amount of tax they pay on
That is
smoking.
12 billion.
They're paying
12 billion
paying
quid.
But
for
you
it.
can make the same argument for alcohol in terms of the effect it
I
has
agree with you.
on
I agree.
children
And so
the NHS and so on.
Yes.
So where
I
do we
know.
stop?
Rishi Sunak has gone completely wrong on this. It's not a vote winner. It was a completely unforced error to basically say to a portion of the population, don't vote for me, I'm going to ban your favourite thing. You know, he didn't need to do it at conference as his big flagship policy. He could have done something proactive. He's got bigger fish to fry. You've got war on multiple fronts. We've got a cost of living crisis. The economy's in the gutter. People can't buy houses. And he's gone, oh, I'm going to ban smoking. Who does that appeal to?
Well, I'll tell you what, I fancy a cigarette now, so it's time for a break. Welcome back. You're still watching Plank of the Week right here on TalkTV. I still have my perfect panel, and the most perfect member of this panel is Georgie Frost. Your next nomination, please, Georgie.
Goodness. I don't know how to go now.
You're the most
yeah, I mean,
the panel.
they've just thrown me.
No, if it was you, I would have said you were the most perfect. Yeah,
That's true.
Don't take it to heart.
That's it. Thanks a lot. No, I'm going to pick Hilton Hotel. Well, let's go with the kind of busybody big.
I've stayed at Hilton hotels. I agree with you. Moving on.
Yeah,
no, sorry,
not for their accommodation, which I'm sure is wonderful. I'm a Travelodge fan myself, but you know, I'm sure it is wonderful. No, it's because if they weren't happy, government and society, with putting calorie counts on our menus, we now have to be told about the carbon rating.
What?
There is so many things wrong with this. One, it's pushing it on. I mean, let's be honest, the whole model of Hilton's business is travel. And let's be honest, that's
where
not
the food's
most,
been.
That's not the best for the environment. Also, I imagine like washing all those towels is not great. But having to then put the carbon, apparently a burger is 13 pounds of CO2 emissions.
Well,
Does anyone
because
know
it's
what that
come
means?
from another country.
Yes, but
because
CO2 emissions are just part of the story. Let's just go. It's really hard to find out if carbon emissions are a good measure, because if you go down, it's just tech startup after tech or whatever telling you how good it is to measure your carbon emission ratings. Is it? Is it accurate? What about methane? What about, obviously methane is carbon, but CO2 emissions? What about methane emissions? What about nitrous oxide emissions? What about all the things? Are you talking about farming, production, supply chain? Are you talking about cooking it, refrigerating it?
But can you
There's
imagine?
no way you can tell.
There will here and there be tables of, hemp-wearing yogurt knitters sitting there actually having conversations with themselves about, well, I'd like the steak, but I can't because its carbon footprint's a bit more than the
Someone made a great
salad.
point, right? If you are trying to work out, someone made a great point, who your friends are, or a great first date, the one that picks the one that's the least cut, that you don't want to go out with them, right?
It actually makes me want to order the thing that's the most carbon heavy.
Yes.
Yeah, but that's what I do with a lot of people criticise the calorie counts.
You go
on
for
the menu.
the highest.
I like it because I always find that the highest calorie count and always have it, even if I don't like it.
We'd all order the Japanese steak and the asparagus that's out of season, wouldn't we?
Loads of butter on it.
Yeah, but it's like you're going to go. So you've got a burger or something. It says 463. I'm not having this burger because it's got the number 463 beside it, not knowing what the hell that number means.
And there's no way it will be properly calculated.
It's meaningless.
Every time they change the menu, is there some woman or man or woman sitting in some office weighing all the different things,
exactly right.
calculating the air miles? Come on.
Every month to get a company, two 12-year-olds in Sweden, it looks like, another tech startup, to basically monitor this, to then change the menu as and when they pay them a subscription every month to do this for them. I mean,
and what might be quite interesting is to measure the carbon footprint of the hotel group, the Hilton,
which would be enormous.
It would be massive, wouldn't it?
It's pure corporate virtue.
That is exactly
right.
Right. Basically, some consultants paid a vast amount of money to advise this is how they can tick certain boxes, so that no one will talk about the wider things like the towel washing and the completely unnecessary replacement of things that have only been used once, etc., etc.
Well, yeah, it's a distraction, isn't it?
I actually think Hilton might have won. If I were in Kevin's, I think you've talked a good game there.
Excellent.
It's a very good nomination. So would you sort of reject a burger if it had flown too far? Just in from Africa, this burger.
Can I just point out very quickly, though? Can I just point out, Ben, that actually the transportation? I've gone down a whole rabbit hole of trying to find out carbon emissions here. By the way, ISO 40440 certification. Actually, transportation is a very small part of the emissions of the food. It's about 1%, I think. The really big thing is things like farming, and beef is obviously the big one. So if you really want to do your bit, don't eat the beef on the menu. You don't have to have a little sticker there next to it. I'll just tell you. Beef and dairy products are the worst.
There are two things I couldn't give a damn about when I look at a menu. One is the calories and the other is the carbon rating. I still barely understand what a carbon rating is, but will it modify the way you behave in restaurants, Ben? I know that's pretty badly usually, but...
Not at all, but I also don't think it will... The people who care about this, I don't think it will modify how they behave, because chances are they're vegans anyway. The people who care about carbon counts are going to be getting the salad anyway. They're not getting a steak, are they? Or dairy, let's face it.
Will you get a carbon rating on a salad? This tomato was grown in Canterbury. It's come on, 100 miles, and therefore, out of bounds if you care about the environment.
Don't.
Just
Honestly,
crazy.
don't. It just annoys. If you're going to bombard people and make people feel guilty with the science, right? You're fat, so here's the calorie content. But get it right, because calorie counts are about 200% out. We know that.
Nonsense.
Businesses themselves say their carbon emissions are out by about 50%. That's what they admit to. So these are not accurate anyway.
It's all nonsense, and no one really cares.
When I go to restaurants, I'm not thinking about my waistline, except maybe expanding it. That's the only thing I'm interested in.
Just enjoy food.
Yeah,
Going out, enjoy ourselves.
Exactly right. Russell, your next nomination, please.
Yeah, my second plank is the second police force of the show, Cleveland Police. Now, of course, it's been rather well documented in.
That's up in the northeast, isn't it?
Somewhere. I guess.
No. That's respectful to every region of this country. It is in the northeast.
They had a northeast accent.
Sound like a southern. That's in the northeast.
Yeah, they had a northeast accent when I watched the YouTube video about which I'm about to talk about. So we, of course, it's been very well documented in recent weeks and months how the police force kind of just get things wrong all the time, don't they? They kind of persecute people for having been offensive on Facebook and, ignore burglary, shoplifting, car theft and so on. Well, the reason I'm nominating Cleveland Police is because a chap went into a certain BP station in Cleveland and paid for his fuel with a £20 coin.
Is there such a thing?
There is such a thing.
Is there really?
Is such a thing. Right. And trust me on this, look it up, as I'm sure viewers will. Coin. It is legal tender, and although it's up to the retailer whether they decide to accept it or not, it's a bit like a Scottish £10 note, for instance.
Yes.
This particular chap, who's actually anonymous, although he has a YouTube account, which I think is called I Spy Audit, which you can look at. It's had 150,000 views, this video.
I use weird currency.
Yes, he's clearly set this up because he filmed the whole thing, but he's trying to make the point, A, that legal tender, and particularly this debate around cash is important, that we should not see cash eroded in society. Anyway, the reason that the Cleveland police got involved is because they arrested him, but they arrested him for making off without paying. And literally, as you'll see on the video, as I'm sure there's a clip.
We are going to see it in a minute.
He's standing there and he actually said to the police officer, but I haven't gone anywhere. I'm still here.
Yeah. That's a good point. Well, let's watch this drama unfold. Take it away, £20 coin guy.
If it's not money, it's not money.
But it is.
So I'm getting confused. How's it money?
Do you understand what the £20 coin is?
No, that's why I'm confused.
Well, why are you threatening me for arrest then, if you don't know?
Because it's not money.
It is.
Right. We'll agree to disagree.
You don't know that. It is. It's legal tender, the same as a £20 note and a £10 note.
Right, and who did you speak to from the BP garage, the manager?
It's the Royal Mint who issued that £20 coin.
You're currently under arrest for making off without payment. You don't have to say anything,
but I haven't made off.
We don't mention one question from the Butcher Line Court. Anything you do is maybe given evidence.
But I haven't made off, though.
For your arrest is prompted in factual investigation. Okay?
But I haven't made off.
You're under caution as well. And due to the fact you failed to provide details.
But I haven't made off.
Failed to provide details, yeah.
But I haven't made off.
Right, are we going to go calmly? We're going to go quietly?
We would go calmly all the time.
Okay, well, do you want to walk with us then?
Of course.
Thank you.
Copper of the year there. Copper of the year.
Kev, can I just finish? The story ends with the fact that this chap then sued Cleveland Police and won an action for unfair and wrongful arrest. And they, when I say they, we as the taxpayer as a consequence, compensated him to the tune of £4,000.
That's
why they're paying
£20. Does it not make your blood boil listening to these
He's just a winner,
police
Ken, isn't he?
at this moment in time, I'm arresting you for making off. I mean, come on. It's
no, you got it wrong.
It's horrifying.
I'm arrested news.
They don't know the law, though. This is also worrying.
I'm still here. I haven't gone anywhere.
Yeah, I haven't gone anywhere. By the way, do you know, I believe I'm right in saying that euros are actually legal tender here as well.
Really?
So you try putting in a 20
Well, that should be a criminal offence.
It's true that although we retained our own country, we certainly...
we?
No.
I'm not sure.
No, I don't think we did, actually. No, we retained our own currency. You can actually technically and
Should we have a team experiment?
But you could try that, and that copper would arrest your arse as soon as look at you. Some of these two-bit little coppers, who don't understand the law.
Thick, and they don't have any discretion. They don't know how to exercise discretion. It's like they've just got a kind of script.
I feel quite sorry for them, though, don't you think? The directions that they must have had over not these ones, but the directions that they must have had over the last 3 years, which starting with
being
lockdown,
should be a
starting with
justification.
But it's not about being stupid. It's like the directions they must have been given from on high. I wouldn't know what to do. Are we to arrest someone for taking a photo of a trans sticker? Are we to arrest someone for paying with a £20? Are we to arrest someone for having a green tea?
The disproportionality of the way the police... I'm in court next week.
I know you are. You're a super criminal,
Yeah,
aren't you?
I'm effectively a great train robber. So I was on a train with a ticket that I believe to be the correct one, argued with the ticket inspector.
You're bunking affairs again, weren't you?
Got off the other end because I refused to pay a £100 penalty.
Did you
and there
make
were
off?
not one, not two, not three, but 4 police officers waiting for me that eventually, after 40 minutes of questioning, cautioned me, and I've got to go to bloody court next week to sing for my supper, even though I had a ticket. I'm saying, here's my ticket from Grantham to King's Cross. It's outrageous.
They treat people who have the wrong ticket is unbelievable. The aggression level.
But if you're burgled, they ignore you.
Yeah.
Shoplifting is rampant and rife across Britain. But 4 police officers.
I once forgot to renew a rail card, and I was treated like a drug kingpin. I mean, literally, they've turned on the tape recorders. The minute I said I feel threatened, they're like, "Oh, are you saying I'm threatening you? On go the tape recorders." I mean, for goodness sake.
I do love that video, though, of the man who has a child ticket, and the ticket inspector says, "Why do you have a child ticket?" He said, "I'm a child of God." And he got away with it.
Well, you can identify as whatever you want now, Ben.
Self-identify.
Identify as a 9-year-old.
There was a video, I think it was in London recently, of some guy who was just hanging around on the street, and these 2 coppers turned up, young women again, which isn't to say that young women are necessarily bad coppers, but they just happen to be young women. WPCs, and one of the coppers said to him, "Would you mind moving along, sir?" And he said, "Well, what do you mean?" He said, "I'm just standing here." "No, we're going to have to ask you to move along." And he said, "Well, I don't want to move along." They said, "Well, you'll have to, otherwise you'll be under arrest."
You sure
He said, "What for? Not moving along." He said, "That's not an offence." And this is what's worrying. So many coppers don't seem to understand the law. Do you remember, not so long ago?
It's the power that was given to them.
Do you remember in Liverpool when the Merseyside police put a great truck in the middle of the square there saying, causing offence is an offence? No, it's not. No, it's not. No, it's not. It's time now for another break. Welcome back to the final bit of Plank of the Week. I'm still with my brilliant panel, but again, they can shut the hell up because it's my turn. No coppers involved in this, but it's still a very arresting nomination. See what I did there? That's why I get the big bucks. Right, it is John Simpson. He is 4,743 years old. He has been working for the BBC since the Jurassic period, and to say he's institutionalised is the understatement of the century. This is the guy, the BBC, quite rightly, under massive fire for refusing to call those 2-bit thugs, terrorists is too good for them, those 2-bit murderous, raping, baby beheading thugs from Hamas, refusing to call them terrorists. Instead, calls them militants, as if they're some sort of noble freedom fighters fighting for a fabulous cause. He justified this. If we call them terrorists, we'd be taking sides. John, it's OK to take sides against people who chop babies' heads off. That's OK. You can do it. Now, if you think that, all BBC people are thinking the same, John Sopel, who until about a year ago was, almost, the epitome of a BBC lifer, been there again 50 years. Very unhealthy to stay anywhere in a job for 50 years. He's left for a year and suddenly has emerged from his institutionalised straitjacket. And he said, contrary to what John said, he actually attacked John Simpson and said, he actually said, I say that the BBC refusing to call Hamas terrorists is verging on disgraceful. The only issue I take with him, it's not verging on disgraceful, it is disgraceful. What is wrong with the BBC?
And a reporter has also quit this week.
Yeah, by the way, exclusive interview on
TalkTV.
On what was my show, 3 to 5 p.m, but I haven't been doing that this week. But all the good stories happen when I'm not there. But it is a disgrace.
But over the years, Kev, I mean, when we've had, for instance, the abhorrence of, 7/7 and 9/11 and the IRA and so on, the BBC have been very, very quick to correctly say that these things were perpetrated by terrorists. So why not this time? And of course, we've also had the royal family this week, both the Prince and Princess of Wales and the King talking about this being an act of terrorism. If it's good enough for the King and the royal family, why is it not good enough for the BBC?
Let me ask you this, Ben. Why does the BBC also call Benjamin Netanyahu's government far right? They're right, but why are they far right?
Well, they're happy to call him far right, but they're not happy to call terrorists terrorists. I think it's clear that there's some sort of editorial bias in the sense that there's certain people, not necessarily the entire institution, but there's certain people who have sympathies towards Palestine and towards the Palestinian cause, as it were. And they're
left, basically.
Well, effectively, the left. And they are not happy with referring to these people as terrorists because it doesn't align with their worldview.
And if you're anybody who's slightly left-wing, right-wing, it doesn't matter. You don't have to be a long way.
Obviously, you're far
centrist right. Centrist right people, completely moderate people, far right, according to the BBC. By the way, this is a clip we're going to show you now at the most hilarious moment of the week. Not necessarily the BBC's fault, but it's the second worst broadcaster in the world. It's Sky News. Here they are breaking some important stories right here, live from Israel.
Let's get some news away from here now, and it is breaking news. And the presenter, Holly Willoughby, has told ITV that she will not return to host This Morning.
That's right, Holly Willoughby announcing that she does intend to leave the ITV programme This Morning.
That's Sky News' intrepid reporter, Mark Austin, an old friend of mine, a brilliant journalist, a great broadcaster, top-class newsman. But, Mark, if you're watching, that was a career low point. Now it is my job to pick the winner, or should we say the loser of the week. As I said, we shouldn't have bothered with the whole show. As right first time, Isabel Oakeshott's nomination of Jeremy Corbyn was just the ticket. Jeremy Corbyn, you are Plank of the Week. Thank you very much to my panel. A great show. I've been Kevin O'Sullivan. Mike Graham should be back next week with another sparkling edition of Plank of the Week.